Good morning, everyone. We have made it to day 3 of the Sales Rep Festival. Just want to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get started today. And thank you guys first and foremost for joining us. We're super excited that we were able to host this for you right before we get into 2021. So I hope that you guys have been able to enjoy some of the sessions and everything throughout. I just want to make sure that you're going to be able to hear everything that Ari has to share with you today. So on the screen, you're going to be able to see this, I don't even know what it's called, presentation that's going to show you how to select either your computer audio or phone call, depending on what you prefer, just to make sure that you can hear us okay. It looks like most of you have activated your audio, but in the event that you haven't yet, we have these helpful directions for you up here on the screen. To hide the panel, you can hit that orange arrow button and it'll hide the go-to webinar control panel, just so that you don't have to miss any of the presentation and have some of that blocking your view. And then feel free to ask questions throughout. More than likely, we'll just unmute you guys at the end. So if there's any conversations or anything like that that you guys want to have around what you're about to learn today regarding bigmap and the power of Brandwise Passport, we'll be happy to answer all those questions for you at the end. So today's also a very special day. Ari Lowenstein is our Chief Strategy Officer, and today he is also celebrating his birthday. So on top of
his 50th birthday.
Well, I figured I would let you share that. So on top of this really exciting presentation for bigmap that is going to be making its appearance in February 2021, we have another reason to be here and celebrating together. So in the meantime, if you guys have been enjoying our sessions over the last few days, please feel free to comment in the questions window and let us know what's been your favorite takeaway so far. And if today's your first day joining us, if you'll just let us know where you're joining us from. I'm joining you guys from home in Lakewood, Colorado. As you can see, the sun's shining right into my windows today, melting away all the snow we got earlier this week. And Ari's joining us in Dallas. What's the weather like where you are?
Rainy and dreary.
Nice and happy for your indoor day, for your birthday.
You know what, Callie, we have a nice group today. If you go ahead and unmute everyone. If you guys want to mute yourselves, we're going to unmute you. If you have questions during it, I don't mind answering them. Because I think that it's in the moment. We have a great group. There's 9 of you on here, which is great. More join, that's okay. But if you mute yourselves, if there's any noise in the background, but if you want to ask a question, feel free to interrupt me. All right, so let's get started. First, I need to explain my my attire. So my girlfriend got me the best present ever. So I love to cook. I love to cook. I love to cook. I learned to cook when I was living in Italy for 10 years. So she got me a chef's coat, and she had a designer. I have my very own logo. It says Ari's Pantry. There's a chef's hat and knives. So anyway, I'm wearing this today because it's my 50th birthday, and I get to wear what I want. And I'm making this presentation. So if you think that I'm funny, or if you even hear this at all, drop something into the questions or say, hey, or Ari, you're ridiculous. Okay, so let's get started. Are you guys out there? Hey, Steve. Okay, so you guys can hear me. That's great. All right. We're going to get started talking about what's happening in the industry. So can you confirm, Callie, that the slides are working?
Yeah, everything looks good.
All right, great.
Brett also commented and said you will love our gourmet food line from Denmark.
Excellent. I wanted all of it. All right, so let's talk about what's happening today. So what's going on? There's no question that retailers are preferring, when they're going to look for new product, that they look for that product on global marketplace. And what does that mean? Well, it means that, seeing as they've all been they're looking for the convenience of one-stop shopping. They've been trained by Amazon basically to shop in a certain way, right? As consumers, right? They look at this. They're buying things for their house. When they want to find something, you go on Amazon, you type it in, you find it. When they're going to look for new product, that's the experience that they want. When you combine that with the obstacles, obviously this year, kind of this perfect storm of it being more difficult to open up new accounts. Sales reps can't just walk in the door. There aren't as many trade shows, or the trade shows weren't as well attended. But more importantly, you can't just drop in and say, hi, my name is Bill and I have something I think would work for your store. So with that, this is how they're shopping right now. And what's happening? Well, we'll say the F word, Fair, and other sites like this. They are generating new accounts. They're generating new accounts in your territory for your suppliers. It's happening. There's some good parts of this which we're going to get into, but it's the reality. This is how they want to shop. This is how they want to find new product, and it's working. You talk with suppliers, they'll do a promotion on Fair, and they're opening up 20 new accounts. And with the sales reps being with COVID, what's happening right now between the on the road business and show business, this is having an impact. But these sites like Fair and the others, they're far from perfect. To begin with, they have a huge number of one and done sales. Now, why is that? Well, because the salesperson is involved. Basically, there's no one advising the customer on what to buy. The algorithm, and if there's an article that I wrote about this that talks about basically Brandwise, we looked at over $4 billion worth of data, and we looked at the results when a sales rep is involved and when they're not. We looked at the results basically when a retailer is placing an order directly for a new product or a new line, and when that involves a salesperson and when it doesn't. And when it doesn't, the results are much worse. And we'll get into the exact numbers, but we looked at this. So what happens is they're going on Fair, they're going on these other sites, they're buying product, but there isn't anyone saying to them that's not going to sell in your store, or that doesn't go with what's in your store, or these are the best sellers, or doing the work that a salesperson does, adding that value. Also, the order size, the initial order size is very small. Now, not just from an economic sense that we want to place bigger orders, but we all know that certain lines need a critical mass in a store, they're not going to work. But when you have it, sure, the minimum order is $100, the minimum order is $150, the minimum order is $200. But for that line, if you carry that line, that unless they have a real presence in the store, it's not going to work. So there's no one providing this guidance. So the order size is also small. So you have small orders that are one and done. Now, as a former sales manager, I'll tell you, if I got an order and I didn't think it was a good order, I'd reject it. Basically, I'd say, this isn't going to work. They've ordered the wrong product. They haven't ordered enough. This isn't right for their store. They don't have any best sellers on here. They picked blue when they should have picked red, orange, and green. So all of that, that isn't happening in the reality when they're working with Fair. And the reorder rates, so most suppliers depend on keeping 70 to 80% of their customers each year. Year on year, those customers come back. The reorder rates on these sites, when a rep is not involved, is between 25 and 30%, which is unsustainable. What's missing from all of this? What's missing from all of that happens is you are. We're not saying this because we're pandering. I believe in sales reps. Sales reps have they basically made my career in that I finally got on stage. I went to work for a crazy company that had been this big, $3 million company for 20 years. And in 5 years, I took them to $10 million. I didn't do the work, my sales reps did. I enabled them to do what they needed to do, but we knocked it out of the park. And I know the value of the salesperson. It's not just, everyone talks about, well, it's a relationship with the customer. It's a relationship with the customer, but why does that relationship work? Because they like the rep? Well, we hope so. But they trust the rep. The rep is helping them choose how to spend those dollars so carefully. And so what's missing from this, what's happening right now, is the salesperson. So Brandwise wanted to come up with an answer for this. And it's actually why I'm at Brandwise, because when they told me what they were doing a year and a half ago, I said, I want to be part of it. So first we looked at what are the resources that are available. So first of all, we have the talent, and that's all of you. That's the salespeople, that's the agencies, that's the people who know the industry. This is key. Then we have the infrastructure. Now the Brandwise 2.0 architecture and infrastructure is fairly new. It's what we've been rolling out over the past year. It's all the things you've heard about: Passport, Transit, Reach. It's all of that. That architecture is built in such a way that it gives the flexibility for stakeholders to interact with each other. Right? You start talking about, what does that mean? Well, everyone talks about functionality and talking about this and why this is better. Basically, the architecture that Brandwise is using enables us to draw a line around any group or any 2 people, any 10 people, any 5,000 people, any 300,000 people, and say, okay, you are now a marketplace. We're going to put you together. And this infrastructure, this flexibility gives us the opportunity to maintain the value that the talent provides us with. Then we have the size. Size matters in this, it really does. You need a certain critical mass. Now, after a certain point, the size is probably, somebody says, well, Brandwise is 290,000 retailers, we have 200,000 retailers. I don't think there's a difference other than that it's a third more in terms of a potential business. But when you get to the number of SKUs and the number of lines, the number of products, you kind of feel like it walking into a trade show. You walk down the aisle of a trade show. If there are 1,000 aisles on each side, or 15 or 20, you can't necessarily tell the difference because there's enough critical mass of product around you. But that being said, the Brandwise ecosystem is the single largest ecosystem in our industry. And it's a 365-day-a-year ecosystem. It's not depending on shows. It's not depending on some particular angle. We come at this across all verticals, and that size is a real strength. We're going to explain why as we go on. And fourth is the experience. And in this case, the difference from the talent. So we have the talent of agent salespeople, but we also have the experience. We have experience of the agencies, the agency principals, sales reps, me, Todd, Janetta, Ron, and a whole bunch, Kelly Bristol, who's now come on as our vice president of association and retail engagement. You might know her from the stationery show, but we have experience of understanding our industry, understanding what it actually takes to not only get an order to a customer, but have it be successful and have the data at the fingertips of those who need it, have the tools and understand all the different business rules. All of this makes a difference. So if we want to create a competitor for FAIR or a competitor for these others, what are the requirements? What is it that we felt coming out of the gate was most important? Well, the first thing is the integration with the salespeople, because that value that we talked about, that value of what happens when a salesperson is involved with the sale versus when they're not, we need to make sure that our system doesn't just find some workaround to let them know about it afterwards or send them some report. We need integration with the salespeople so they can do their job. And we're going to show you exactly in this call how that happens. Territory protection. A global marketplace that we put forward, while other realities may be the Wild West, and we're not going to get into making rules there, on the global marketplace that we're putting forward, territories are protected. What does that mean? That means that the sales manager defines which reps, which agencies have that line in those territories, and that's where those orders and those clients, that's who they're going to be working with. Now, all of this becomes academic if we're not meeting the expectations of the suppliers. So what are the expectations of a supplier of a global marketplace that built, it's part of Brandwise and has the reps involved? Well, the first thing is going to be the higher quality orders. They're going to expect that the reps, if there's a difference, if we're differentiating in one of the ways, which is that the salespeople are involved in this process, then they're going to expect that it's going to actually make the higher quality orders, which means one, we have to enable it to happen, and then two, you're all going to have to do your job and work those orders and work that territory like you would a hot lead that's coming in. This isn't just a hot lead, it's an HFC order, which we'll show you. The second thing is it's got to be able to generate leads. Period. I'm the former president of the Gift Sales Managers Association, and I'll tell you when we get on those meetings, especially this year, the sales managers have said, look, FAIR is a reality for us right now because we do a promotion and we get 20 new accounts in a weekend. Well, with salespeople not able to get out and go in and walk in and do cold calls, drop in with a meet, with a sample, with a catalog, trade shows, all of that being handicapped, there's no question that the new leads this year are coming from this platform. So our platform has to do the same, which means that it's going to need to be promoted, which means that it's going to need to get into everyone's vernacular, which means it's going to be part of the buyer's daily life. It also has to be a sustainable model. Now, models like FAIR and models like some of the large marketplace models, which unless you're a tenant, they're going to be doing the same. They take 15, 25% commission. Basically, what they're saying is the salesperson is not necessary. Now, when they say they're not taking a commission, I'll take off my Brandwise hat, put on my own Ari Lowenstein hat for a minute. Whenever anybody says we're doing something for free, it's not true. Period. FAIR has hundreds of millions of dollars of venture capital money behind it, and they will ask when pressured, how can you do this for free? They'll say, well, we hope that when they come on the site, they'll buy other product, which means product that they can earn a commission on. They actively move that customer that they say they don't take any commission on, off of that product and onto another by bombarding them and promoting the other products with them. So the idea that a supplier goes on, hands over their customer list, Fair doesn't take a commission. They then tell you about the order, and then maybe they send you the commission after the fact on an order that isn't a good order. Maybe it's a competing customer from across the street. Maybe it's the wrong product. It's obviously a missed touch point for you. But all of that, Fair and these other entities are taking the commission because they don't think the salesperson is necessary. So our model has to be sustainable, which means it must be a very low percentage so that the sales function can still be paid for. You can still earn. And of course, we have to replicate the success of the competition when it comes to discoverability for all those SKUs on the site. It has to be comparable in terms of user experience, size, the ability to work with it. It has to provide the one-stop shopping that they can find everything they want. So what's the answer? Bum, bum, bum. You've already heard the name of it. This was part of our big reveal, bigmap. This is our competitor. This is your competitor for Fair. This is what we believe in a few months will be a viable alternative for you to be able to say to your suppliers, look, it's more advantageous for you not to be on Fair. It might cost you the same amount, but now the salespeople get to be involved and you're going to do better. It's going to cost you less because you're going to get bigger orders. You're going to get higher reorders. Everything is going to keep working the way it's supposed to work. Where did we get the name? We weren't sure whether or not we wanted to show this one, but we will. So it's Brandwise Global Marketplace. Yeah, it's that simple. BGMP. I saw it. We kept calling it the GMP, the Global Marketplaces. We came up with all kinds of outrageous names, all kinds of different things. And then I just saw it, BGMP. I said, Todd, what's that? He said, it's Brandwise Global Marketplace. And I saw it. It's big map. It has the word big. It has map, which involves territory. So BGMP, and there it is. The logo's great, and the rest of the branding that we're putting together is pretty exciting, but that's where the name comes from. So let's talk about some of the features. First thing is it's a fully featured marketplace, so which means that it's going to have all the bells and whistles, and they're going to be able to use it on their phone, on their tablet, on their laptop, on their computer, and on their smart TV. Wherever they are, they're going to be able to access it. This single sign-on is really important. And if there's one takeaway or one of the takeaways from today that I think you really should focus on, it's that the passport, this single sign-on, not just for retailers, but suppliers, sales reps will have, and so on. This is key because through that single sign-on, through their passport, the retailers will be able to access all of their order history from all of their Brandwise orders. That doesn't just mean bigmap. It doesn't just mean your reach site. It also means every order that they place with any rep through Play, they're going to be able to have all their history in one place. And when you think about how much retailers don't even realize how many of their orders they're placing through Brandwise, the critical mass, the size of that dashboard and what's going through there is going to be so important. We believe, we hope that with buyers already trying to figure out where they're ordering things, once they find that they can get these brands in this dashboard, they can communicate with their salespeople, they can have all of this at their fingertips, that the other platforms are going to become less attractive because retailers are already getting confused of where they're ordering from, and now they're going to be able to work with a rep coming out of the gate. This piece is important. This automated transparency and delivery of orders by territory. A customer comes in and places an order on bigmap. What happens with that order is it goes to the assigned rep as an HFC order. It does not go to the supplier first. If the supplier hasn't uncovered territory, they can have it go to them. The supplier will assign these, and the order gets right into your play system as a rep, as an HFC order. Now you get to work with it. The customer finds out who you are, you know who the customer is. If it's a new customer, fantastic. If it's an existing customer, fantastic. That order has come through bigmap. Now, do all orders have to be through bigmap? No. Question, Ari, does this mean that all orders are going through bigmap? No. Ari, does this mean that our site, our agency site goes through bigmap? No. Those exist as part of the ecosystem exactly as they do now. Bigmap is meant to be that place where if the retailer would have gone to Fair, we don't want him to go there. We want him to go to bigmap. Why? Because the order gets to your salesperson, and all good things flow from that. This is also key. Within the Brandwise eco, the suppliers are already talking about, I have to put my data in so many places, I have to put my data in so many places. If they're putting the data in for you, for your agency, it's the same data that they're going to use for bigmap. Period. It's the same data if they're part of the Museum Store Association that's going to go there. If they're part of Greeting Card Association, it's going to go there. If they're part of the Canadian Gift Association, it's going to go there. That same data that they're putting in is going to flow to all of these marketplaces. It's going to flow into your place system. It's going to flow into your reach site. It's going to flow into bigmap. And all of the orders they get, they're going to get through the single feed. So now when you put this all together, we haven't talked to a supplier yet that says, I don't want to be on it, because there's no reason for them not to. And because of the discoverability and the size of it, it's going to be a lot of advantages to it. If they pick up a new account, instead of it costing 25% and it being a lousy order, it's going to cost 3%. And you as a salesperson are going to have an opportunity to work on it. You know, when a retailer has a bad experience with the line, they don't come back. That's it. As a sales manager, I would have rather not sold to a store than sold them a bad order. We are maintaining the value. This is the key. This is how this is built. The transaction fees are going to be 3%. One of the questions, Ari, what's the transaction fee? 3%. Who pays for that? I don't know. Well, I know. The supplier pays 3%. Are they going to ding the agency? That depends on the supplier. Some of them said they have, some of them said they haven't. Is the agency going to ding the salesperson? Some of them have said they have, some of them said they haven't. The point of these orders isn't to keep the customer here. The point of the customer is to start working with them here, and then you work with them on Play, you work with the Reach, do the order through Smoke Signal, whatever it is that you want. The point here is to offer this as a viable alternative to the suppliers, to fair, and create a system in which the orders are coming to you. At which point you then work with the customer as you do, and you'll have transparency into the orders that they place. So this is all of this is key to it. Let's do a quick comparison. Scenario one. Scenario one, we have an order placed on an external B2B platform. This is the fair example. Okay, this is what's happening today. This is what happens if bigmap does not exist. This is happening every day with reps. Order is delivered to the supplier, salesperson's not involved. Typical order size is around $300. We've confirmed this both in our internal, from orders that go through directly, as well as from the external sources, from data that they've released. The reorder rate is only 28%. It's terrible. And you don't have any visibility, agency doesn't have any visibility, rep doesn't have any visibility, and you're hoping that someone will tell you about that order. More often than not, the rep will walk into the store and say, oh, you have my line. Or, oh, I guess you placed a reorder. Scenario two, the bigmap scenario. Orders placed on bigmap. The order is delivered to the salesperson. They're completely involved. The typical opening order size, we already know that a new account, when a rep opens it versus someone doing it themselves, that opening order average size is 475. And the reorder size is even bigger. But this is already the difference between someone working themselves and a salesperson working. And if you did a quick comparison, even if the supplier dings the agency for the 3%, and now it's 12%, 12% of 475 is more than 15% of 300. So there are questions about the 3%, but when you start breaking it down, this is not only a better option, but it's a very clear option in terms of, because now the value is maintained. There's a chance for a reorder. In fact, there's a 71% chance of a reorder, and that's from our big data that we've looked at. And the agency has full visibility to this, so everything's working the way it's supposed to. So let's do a quick, let's just do a quick rundown. This is a great visual that shows kind of how bigmap works. You got 3,700 suppliers that are part of the ecosystem right now. They're feeding 15 million SKUs, and actually that 10 million is out of date because we already know that we're a much higher percentage into transit, which is the tool that they put the data into. And all of that data flows into bigmap. And we have 290,000 retailers. They're going to use their passport and they're going to access bigmap and they're going to place an order. When they place the order, where does that order go? Oh, it goes to Play. As an HFC, it's delivered to the territory rep. The rep then has an opportunity to work back and forth with the client, make that order even better, right? That order is going to come to them on average as a $300 order, and with products that aren't necessarily right, missing bestsellers. All of those things that are there, you have an opportunity to work with the customer, and when you're done with the order, you send it up to stream. Now, for any uncovered territories, the supplier will have an opportunity to get that order directly. Obviously, now they also can pick up some reps that are in the Brandwise ecosystem, which is going to make all of this happen more frequently. And then the orders go from stream to them. So this is the basic architecture, which we're pretty proud of. All of this obviously counts on the passport. There's been other presentations about the passport. I won't go into them in great detail now, but basically every individual will have a passport, and then they'll connect to the business or businesses that they work with, kind of think LinkedIn, with permission-based. We already have about 75,000 retailers that have them. That number is growing every day, and it's going to continue to grow. And this passport also, when the sales rep passport comes out, one of the pieces that's going to be there is your ability to communicate directly with your customers, not through email, but through the communication structure that's within this, which is going to be so powerful, and to be able to work with them. Basically, you'll say, I'm your rep. They'll say, yes, you're my rep, and then you'll be able to work back and forth. So let's take a look at some of the stakeholder benefits. Some of these we've really outlined already, but just to make it clear, there isn't any startup cost or subscription charges for anybody. The 3% allows for the sales function to happen and pay for the platform, which has costs to maintain it. Plus, we need to promote it, right? We don't have, I'll be honest, we don't have hundreds of millions of venture capital money. I often make the joke to say I wish we did, but I'm actually glad we don't, because we're not beholden to anybody. Our job is to help you do your job. Our mission, our goal is to help you accomplish yours. This is why we're getting all these associations to sign on with us. And by the way, just as a side note, that structure, I'll go back real quick. This structure is exactly how the orders are going to also work with the Museum Store Association, with the Greeting Card Association. Any of these associations that sign on with us and you carry their lines, the same process is going to happen, which means a new museum in your territory picks up your line, that order is going to come to you. This discovery, this goodwill, this opportunity these associations are going to have to promote that they're promoting their marketplaces, so long as the supplier has reps that they're working with, these orders can get to you first to work with. This is going to be a lead generator across all of these specialty markets that we're working with. I mean, it's really powerful. So you're going to be getting HFC orders in through, if your suppliers are, if your lines are members, the Greeting Card Association, Museum Store Association, any others that we work with, this same exact architecture of BigMap is going to apply. And if you have questions about that, we can get into that, but it's something I'm excited about and actually quite passionate about. So for suppliers, the salesperson is still involved. What I like about the 3% and the way that we're framing this is we're saying to the supplier, just so you know, this whole system is built because the salesperson is involved every step. And that's how we're building it. And that's why we're charging 3%, because we want to make sure there's enough space for the sales function, and then they can take that customer and they can work with them wherever they want. But this is what it is. It's 3%. This one we covered in terms of the territory rules. Obviously, it's always on. This is going to be easy. There's going to be an easy yes. And we've been asked a question in other ones that I've done. Well, Ari, how many suppliers have said yes? There aren't any suppliers that have said no, but we haven't asked for the order yet. But what I can tell you is we have over 1,000 suppliers already with data coming through transit. And the way they're signing up with every marketplace, we don't think there's going to be any problem with them saying no. We already are being hit with tons of inquiries because we put up a place where they can ask for questions and more information, but we're going to get the suppliers and we're going to have the retailers because they're all going to have a passport. Modern shopping interface, which I can show you. All of this we've covered. This is also quite interesting. We think that as a side benefit to this, and I've already seen it, there's a supplier that had already signed up with the Museum Store Association, and I was coincidentally trying to help them find representation in the Northwest. And when I said to the agency, and by the way, they're already in transit, they already have their data up, they're already ready to go, the principal said, well, then let's take a look at that, because that lift, them knowing that they didn't have to put in data, they didn't have to do this, the business rules were set up, everything is ready to go, became a very easy yes for them, just based on the product, because they knew the PIA factor, pain in the ass factor, of working with that supplier was going to be greatly reduced because they already had everything ready to go. So for the retailer, the discoverability we know they have to have, the order history, which I'll show you a little bit of what that looks like, is going to be there, not just from BigMap, not just from the reach sites of the agencies, but also through every order that they place through Play. And this part's interesting, the opportunity to work with a salesperson. So there's an article on BigMap that was in Gift and Deck maybe a month ago. And when I was talking with Lenise Willis, the editor-in-chief, I said, I was going through the process, and she'll print things, press releases that we do and that our competitors do. And she said, wait, are you telling me that when a retailer places an order on BigMap, they're automatically going to be put together with a knowledgeable salesperson who knows that line, that territory, maybe that store? I said, yes. She said, oh my God, this is of huge value to our readers, to the retailers, the 35,000 retailers. That's why they did the live press conference. That's why they did the story the way they did it. She sees the value of that, and we're going to be pushing this. You're going to get someone who knows the line. Fair has 13,000 suppliers. There isn't anyone there that knows the line, and they've created obstacles to working with between the supplier and the retailer directly. Now they might be improving that, but as we know, sure, the suppliers know their line, but they don't know that territory. They don't know that store. They don't know what else is in there. They don't know what's selling across the street. They don't know the state bird. They don't know the colors of the local football team. They don't know any of that, but you do. So this is more value, keeping the value in. Agency benefits. The reps are part of the process. It's fully automated, as we discussed. And it's not just new lead generation for that line. A new lead comes in. Now the rep has that customer. This is what's so different about this. Now the rep has the customer. Now the rep can sell, the salesperson can sell everything else that they have to them, right? They can say, it's nice to meet you. And that's coming into them, and that's the first contact. They get to help them make a better order. They get to work with them. They get to have the touch point, and they get to work with the customer, which is so exciting. And we also really feel that this is going to strengthen all of the relationships, including the one between the rep and the agency, because bigmap kind of has everybody's back. In terms of those orders that are out there, reps right now are spending so much time. Where did the order come from? Where did they get that from? Am I doing it? Am I getting? This keeps everybody in the loop. This keeps them not only in the loop, but part and parcel to the process. And lastly, and this is so important, it's giving the agencies and the reps an alternative to fair. You can't say don't do something unless you have something of equal or higher value. You can't say to them, that's not good, don't do that, particularly today. So we're excited when this launches in the middle of February. The messaging is going to be there that says, yes, all that was good about that, we have also. Plus, we have your salespeople, and they're going to help you make better orders. Okay, so here's some quick glamour shots of what it looks like. These works on all the different devices. Here's a quick, this is kind of what they would get to when they land on the screen. The UX UI is some pieces that we're thinking they're improving on. Others we're looking at best practice. Oh, that was Princess Buttercup. So here's a search for mug. What's great about bigmap is they're going to be able to search across all of the lines, just like they can in Fair, just like they can in the others. It's not segmented. You don't have to get permission to see a supplier. Here's searching one supplier. And here's what a cart looks like. So here's some different orders that a retailer is putting together, and then each one of them they can work on. They can put in all the different data that they need to in terms of ship dates, payment terms. All of that is available. The suppliers can set their own payment terms just like they can now. All of that is done. Bigmap is not carrying the money. That's not happening. So the suppliers are going to be able to work just as they do now with an order that goes through play with the credit card process, the terms, all of that part is still going to be in place. We're not getting involved in that. And the involvement that's been in that has been a bit problematic. I don't know if you know, but they charge, there's finance charges that are there. There's a lot that's kind of under there that when you scratch the surface is not particularly attractive. Here's an example of an order history. And you can see that on the order right away, if you see that on the left-hand side, Lisa Simpson with a phone number, that right away, the customer is going to get the contact information for the sales rep, and the sales rep is going to get the contact information for the retailer. There's no games about contact information. That's all going to happen right up front so they can start working together. And lastly, sign up for Brandwise Insiders, which is something that everybody should do. Okay, so now let's get into some questions. All right, we've got a couple here. Will they sign up just like they do on Fair? So the way the retailers will sign up is they'll come in through their passport, and once they're logged into their passport, it's kind of like, when you go to a site that says, would you like to log in with Facebook? Would you like to log in with Google? Once they have their passport, they'll be able to go into any reach-enabled site. In order to go into an agency site, they have to ask permission to shop, and the agency lets them in. But so long as they have a passport, they're going to be able to shop here. Let's see, any other questions? So anyone want to unmute your mic and ask a question? Here we are. I'm listening.
Steve Johnson here.
Hey,
you ready?
Steve. Yep.
Hey, nice to see you on your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Fantastic presentation, and I'm surprised you're not in a bar. I thought you would have told Todd that tough crap about being in a bar all day. Anyways, and you're a young man. I'm jealous that you're only 50. Anyways, but my key question here is that say you've got an existing customer, and when they may be maybe they're working with a rep and placing orders through Play. They're occasionally writing orders on Reach through our website, and then they're also shopping on bigmap. Okay, so when they go to write a reorder, is it all on where they go to? Like, will they go to their passport to place an order to write a reorder, for example, and then would that come through Reach, or would that steer them to bigmap, or what?
Sure. So it's right now we're not putting barriers around that. What that means is, so through their path, there's going to be a number of different ways in which they can get to write an order. What we hope, what we would count on, or what we're hoping for, is that once a customer is working with you, you're now bringing them into your world, right? You're bringing them into your Reach site, or the rep is using, the tear sheet function on Play and going back and forth directly with the customer, and all of that is happening through their passport. There's going to be different ways that they can get to they can go into BigMap, they can type in bigmap.net, they can get to BigMap, and they can start shopping. At which point, all of that is going to come through BigMap, and yes, the 3% is going to be on there. If they come in through your Reach site, BigMap has nothing to do with it. If they go through Play, BigMap has nothing to do with it. They also, from within their passport, can choose these different places to shop. They'll be able to go to your site as one of the places that they shop. They'll also be able to choose BigMap. Now we're going to see how this unfolds. Steve, we've always made adjustments through time. The sustainability part of BigMap counts on obviously some revenue, especially because we don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to market with, so we got to get every dollar we can in order to be able to continue to compete. The other part is that the reorder rules, and that part is very specific to supplier by supplier. So we've been asked this question a few times, and we get the larger scope of it, and with a rep saying, well, I lost 3%. It was an ongoing customer. I lost 3% because they placed the order through BigMap instead of here. And obviously, when you're working with a customer, you want it to be easy for them, and so you don't want to say no, don't do that, right? There's that whole piece of don't place that there. That's in competition with me, and they say, but isn't this yours anyway? And isn't it all the same? So those rules are going to evolve. Right now, we don't have the mechanism in place, or maybe more accurately, we haven't decided exactly what it should be. So we're going to want to get feedback from that. One of the pieces I think that we're going to find, what we hope, is that the overwhelming benefits of getting the new customers and having the visibility and decreasing the importance of FAIR or the impact of FAIR is going to offset the occasional customer who places their order through BigMap instead of through your Reach site. But I think time will tell. So I don't know if I answered the question well, but
no, that's a good answer. I think key to me. I mean, this is so exciting because it's I keep going back to the cost of acquisition. As an agency, we always talk about the most expensive order you write is the first one, and so it really depends on the reorder for profitability. It depends on order size for profitability. We know that our system, our average order size is $922 currently, and that's a better quality order, and we've got a lot of manufacturers that have incentives at $1,000, for example, and so forth. We're very confident about building that relationship, writing a quality order, all that happen, just I've been asked by the reps, and what I really want to avoid is that whole scenario where a rep says, don't place it this way, place it this way, and that kind of thing. And that's just really to avoid.
Yeah, what I feel is we've gotten like 8 out of the 10 important steps figured out, right? This one I think is an issue. What we know is once the rep gets that order, they're going to turn it into a better order, and they're not going to care about the 3% because they doubled the order, right? Or they increased it by 50%. Now we're talking about 3 out of 15, so we're talking about 20%. The increase by 50% is a net gain, but we still have to figure that part out. We also have to figure that part out in a practical sense. But we're aware of it, and we know that that's a question. But again, we're hoping that the overwhelming benefits are going to kind of, I don't want to say trump that because it's a bad word, are going to, trump, that's the right word. Anyway, offset that.
It's going to shake out for sure.
Right. Anyone else got a question? Just unmute and ask away. Sarah, Rochelle, Liz, Judy, Elizabeth, Donna, Carrie, Carol, Brett, the other Judy.
Hi, it's Sarah.
Hello, Sarah. Where are you calling from?
Denver, Colorado.
Hello, Sarah from Denver.
I'm here by Brandwise.
Great.
Good. So how would the customers, like a new customer, find the site?
So the new customer, as in they've never ordered anything in the world before, or they've never been on BigMap before.
Right.
Okay, so this is Sarah is not a plant, but this is a very good question, Sarah. The way they're going to find it is because your colleague, your competing rep that walks into that store is going to say this at the end of their sales call. If I don't have what you're looking for, please go on bigmap. That's how. And you're going to say it as well. The whole promotion of this site is going to depend on, I mean, we're going to advertise as much as we can afford, but the real promotion of the site is going to count on Brandwise reps out there saying, if I don't have what you're looking for, if the 40 lines I'm carrying aren't enough, because they're not, because the store has 100, please go on bigmap. Because if you're doing that and your competing rep is doing that, then they're all going to be, it's basically like the question is does the customer come into the building or are they outside the building, right? For a trademark, right? You want them in the building. So in order to get the building, you want them on bigmap. So that's kind of where what we're banking on. That's how they're going to find out about it. We're also going to advertise at Gift and Deck and Gift Shop, and we'll do that. But those dollars are expensive, and we're competing against venture capital money. What we have in terms of value is you. That's what we have. We have you saying to your customer, if I don't have what you're looking for, please go on bigmap, because then when they find that line, they're finding that line from another Brandwise rep, as opposed to finding that line on Fair, which takes them out of the ecosystem, right? We want them staying in the ecosystem. And then that rep is going to say, if I don't have what you're looking for, please go on bigmap, and then they're going to find your line.
Okay, good.
Perfect response. And I just chime in there. We feel like our #1 competition right now is our retail buyers in retail stores believing that they don't need to work with a rep.
Yep.
And if they're going on bigmap, that is going to foster and help them to see the value of working with a rep. We'd far rather have them write orders with other professional reps that we respect out on the road than going on Fair or going through a direct manufacturer site. And that builds our whole system and helps build the value for all of us.
And then you can all compete, right? Get them in the building, right? It's like inviting somebody to a trade show. They're going to walk past your competition, but that's okay because they're in the building, right? Then you can all compete. We're better. But at least they're in the building, because when they're outside the building, we don't have any way to work with them. And to your point about maintaining the rep value, that's what it's all about. Any other questions? Brett, Carol, Carrie, Donna, Elizabeth, Liz. Any questions?
Hey, Ari, thank you so much. Happy 50th.
Quick
question. When do you anticipate this being ready to launch?
Mid-February. The timing is very intentional, Carrie. It's basically about bandwidth and about attention. When we announce it, we want as much attention on us as possible. So we're doing it in the middle of February, because trade shows are going to happen, the product launches are going to happen, the marketplaces, the markets are going to have their moment. So we're looking at right around the 15th of February. The messaging will be coming out before that to get to all of you. We're counting on the reps, the agencies, the suppliers. It's going to, that'll start to come out in preparation for it. But the big push and the launch will be around the middle of February.
So we can start telling people about this now.
Oh, absolutely, Sarah. Sarah, where are you calling in from?
Denver.
Denver, that's right. It was Carrie who I didn't ask. Carrie Bickman. Okay, so yes, absolutely. Right now, if they go to bigmap.net, there's just some information for them to hear about it. This Sarah, is going to be up to you in terms of when you're working with your retailers. There's that when you tell someone about product that's going to come out of the future, you want to get their attention, but then obviously as a salesperson, there's a trade-off to sell what you have. So for those, I think that if you want to get them excited to say this is what's coming, I think that's great. For others, you might want to do it, when it's more imminent, right? So that you get their attention span, and people are so, everyone is so accustomed to instant gratification. If you tell them about something today and it's not ready until the middle of February, they're still going to be buying, right? They're not going to hold off on their buying if they want to buy. So I think that that's a case by case, and it's certainly up to you. But we did publish it in Gift and Deck, and we do have a site up for them to ask for more information, as a placeholder. That article was obviously much more for the agencies and the suppliers than it was for the retailers at that point. Yeah, you can start telling them about it. That's middle of February is a hard date. I don't mean hard as in difficult, I mean hard as in fixed.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Brett or Carol or Donna or Elizabeth or Judy or the other Judy? Liz, you've got a question.
I do. I'm curious to know if you are using this bigmap to leverage bringing on new vendors who then might be looking for rep groups.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's exactly the point. That's exactly what we want. We want to be able to say, here's a model where you get all the good stuff, plus you get fantastic salespeople, right? Who, instead of giving the money to the venture capitalists and the robots that they're giving bad advice, you're giving it to salespeople who actually maintain the value, and it doesn't cost the retailer any extra money. So yes, that's exactly what we're hoping. Now, the first is we're going to start with our, we're going to start by promoting it, to our family, right? To the 3,700 suppliers we have. That's where it's going to begin. But then we absolutely are going to do it. And not only that, we know there's so many suppliers out there that have their data ready. They might go on there. They're not going to have, if they go on the site and they don't have reps, then theirs is going to be an inferior experience for the retailer who says, well, wait a minute, this other line gives me a rep to work with, right? It's going to be like an obvious difference. So when they sign up and they don't have any reps, we're going to say here. And one other note, this might not be very popular, but I want to put it out there just so that you know, we are giving the suppliers the opportunity, while they don't have the interaction with Play, we are giving them the opportunity to send that order to a non-Brandwise rep, to an independent rep, or to a rep that uses another system. Now, this was a choice that we made, but what's most important to us is that the orders are good orders. We want the involvement of a salesperson. And we're not saying we only want the involvement of a Brandwise salesperson, because that would be disingenuous. Of course, it's not going to come into the Play system. They're going to get notified about it afterwards. It's going to come as a PDF. They're not going to have, it's already going to be a confirmed order. They're not going to have any of the benefits that Brandwise reps have. But if we were going to put our money where our mouth is, we don't say, well, there's only value there if it's a Brandwise salesperson. Obviously, hopefully this will bring more salespeople to Brandwise, right? Like it brings more suppliers. Yeah, we feel that this is going to be a real virtual loop. We think that suppliers that are in some of these specialized associations that haven't worked with reps before will start to see the real value in it, and they'll pick them up. And the beauty is that they can pick it up for real specialized locations. Like I see a lot of benefits coming from it. Great question.
Quick follow-up to that, Ari. A quick follow-up to that one.
Sure.
Is the the $1 million question is so a manufacturer starts getting their orders through bigmap, and the system, they want a professional rep, and so they're looking for a rep group. It makes me a little uneasy to think they say, okay, they come to Brandwise. Well, who should we hire in that area? You guys, and Brandwise has 10 rep groups in that territory. Who do you refer and in what order is a good question.
Well, it'll work differently. What we envision is actually a marketplace for this, meaning that suppliers have an opportunity to do outreach to an agency to say, I'm interested. An agency has an opportunity to say to a supplier, you can come in as a browse only and you can look around in our lines, like that kind of functionality. We wouldn't actually actively refer one over another. What we would do is give the agencies an opportunity to say, I'm in Ohio and I'm looking for this. You remember the big bulletin boards at the trade shows, right? Looking for representation of Wisconsin. That's what we'll replicate. But then we're agnostic in this, so we wouldn't be recommending one or another, but we would be giving access to say, here's who's there. And I think more importantly, in the other direction, the supplier saying, I'm looking for representation in Ohio, and then the agencies that want to browse through this will browse through it. They'll be able to see all their products. They'll be able to see, their prices. And then potentially they'll be able to share, some of their customer information from within the system, which is, ideal.
Terrific. Thanks.
Anyone else? Brett or Carol or Donna or Elizabeth or Judy or the other Judy or Rochelle, or that's it. Those are the only ones who haven't asked questions.
I have a question, Ari.
No. Yes, Liz.
When it comes to stock, a lot of our customers say, hey, is it in stock? Is there any function there?
Well, what's interesting is, the new question, I think in January, isn't going to be what's new. It's going to be what do you have, right? Because that's going to be the question. So the answer to your question is a resounding yes. And the funny thing is it's not new functionality. It's been there. Now it's fully incorporated now with this, but for years, suppliers have had the ability to put quantity on hand and availability date into your system so that it can appear on play. Through Transit now, which is the tool that they use to load their data, they can also provide that data, the accuracy of which, the timing of which is up to them. But we've put some emphasis on it in the past. We're going to put more on it again. But if they start using those tools, once they use them, they say, oh, wow. And you as a rep can see, I'm not going to sell this product. It's not going to be in for 2 months, but this one is here. And this one has, stock availability. So the answer is yes, it's been there. More of it will be there. The actual integration with the companies, they actually create a gateway where that information goes through automated. But some suppliers have made the investment to do that, but they all have different systems. So we have more and more standard integrations that can do that. But the pace with which different systems are being are out there. We have the tool that they can put it in. For it to be automatic, that might take that extra piece. But what we are communicating to the sales managers is give the sales reps the tools they need, and one of them is tell them what they can sell. Right? Don't just give them the product. Tell them, say this is in stock. So so yes, it's there, and we'll continue messaging. We're also going to give this information to the reps so that you can do the grassroots part to say do this piece. One other thing I'll add to that. Is there anyone on this call who's ever heard of Invoice Exchange? Anyone?
Yes, definitely heard of it.
Okay. So Invoice Exchange is actually a tool, and it's another fairly convenient tool where the suppliers actually have the ability to load invoice data back into the system, meaning to tell you on that order what shipped, what the tracking number was. Therefore, how much of a back order there is. This is a system, this is a tool that's existed for years. We're going to make another push on it. But that data, the tool for them to put that in is available. It has been available for a long time. So this is another one of those tools that if enough sales reps say, hey, can you do this thing? And they do it once a week, they do it every 2 weeks, but basically to load the data back in so you can look at an order, click a button and see what actually shipped, when it shipped and what the tracking number was, what the status of it is. I mean, think about how much time that would save. So there's lots in Brandwise, just got to scratch the surface, but that's in there too. Any other questions? We're 8 minutes over, but this is super exciting. I think that you asked, yes, Steve, this has been recorded, and this is the best session that I did about this. I've done 3 now during the festival. I think it's best because I'm wearing my chef outfit, and it's my 15th birthday. So we'll post this one. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Wait, one more question. Is there a live customer service on bigmap? So the customer service, Brandwise customer service is going to be expanded dramatically because now we're going to be working with retailers. The system and the protocol is an interesting question. If it's a technical issue on bigmap, we're going to handle it. If it has to do with product or your shipment, there's going to be some form of automated way for that to go directly to the supplier or to the rep, and that's something that we're still working on. If you have any ideas about that, you should send them in. You can send them to me at alowenstein@brandwise.com because I'd like to know your feedback on that. But we want to make it work and use the right tools where they are, which probably means the supplier notifying the rep. But we're going to work on that. We have great customer service in terms of working with reps and suppliers. So now the question is how do we replicate that on this massive marketplace? All right, that's all the questions. This was fun. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Join us in a couple minutes for the virtual selling tools. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Terrific.